Although it feels like centuries ago, the 2016 election and its political conventions were a mere 4 years ago. So much has changed, and yet nothing has. Trump is still Trump, racists are still emboldened, and for some reason, conservatives are still weirdly obsessed with Hillary Clinton. Here are some of the best pieces we made during the 2016 convention season. May we learn from our mistakes this time, so I can retire my screaming pillow. The unabashed patriotism of the Democratic Convention seemed designed to win back the blue-collar white men who could decide this election. But underneath the flag-waving, chanting, and literal pandering to testicles, the party feels they have the ideas that help those voters.
When the middle class does well, the rich do very well, and the poor have hope.
But what is it about the Democratic faithful that makes it hard for them to connect to those voters?
I love PBS News. Judy Woodruff and Glenn Eiffel.
I had these two linen suits that I bought at Banana Republic.
I studied comparative literature, so I studied French and Chinese literature.
They looked fine, but they were like a little too summery.
You guys have had Lena Dunham, you've had Sarah Silverman, you've had Meryl Streep.
Right.
What else are you doing to let blue-collar white voters know that you're welcoming them?
Good question.
Perhaps the Democrats, with their love of breathable men's fashion, Franco-Chinese literature, and snarky late-night commentary, are stuck in their heads, which in turn are stuck up their buttholes.
We've got to connect the dots so that they understand the importance of the issues. That Social Security has to be solvent.
As soon as you said the word solvent, my boner started going down.
I understand. You need something that's more like, more from the gut. Stop being so thinky.
We believe in raising the minimum wage, fighting for Social Security.
Is there a way that you could say that with more emotion?
We are protecting and expanding Social Security.
Could we get some emotion from you?
Probably not.
Social Security.
How about passion?
I think that I've seen a lot of passion at this convention. You have seen passion from Senator.
I'm asking for passion from you.
Social Security.
Okay, that's a lot.
How about an awkward laugh?
You've known Hillary Clinton for years, and I was wondering, would you just call her and tell her to take better care of white people?
Let me see if I can reach her. Hillary, it's very important that I speak with you. This is Eddie Bernice. We've got to get a strategy that make poor white people understand that they should be voting for you.
Unfortunately, that voicemail was already hacked and deleted by the Russians, but Congresswoman Johnson had other wisdom to share.
How do you get white voters in your district to vote for you?
I give them attention. I let them know that they're important. I do casework, and I do casework even when it's not in my district sometimes. So they gravitate to me because they do get attention.
Do you ever get tired of taking care of white people?
Yeah. And it's not easy.
But maybe it can be easy. Maybe it all comes down to this one suggestion from the world's most interesting man's less interesting brother.
Start treating people with respect, and then you get the results.
I have a feeling somehow that you could sing a romantic Spanish song.
Claro que sí. Bésame, bésame mucho, como si fuera esta noche la última vez.
Very good.
Gracias.
You guys are totally not going to get the white vote.
I'm not in Cleveland, I'm in New York, that's why I had to shout, but I'm heading there tomorrow for the 41st and possibly the last Republican National Convention! Conservacella 2016 lurched to a start this morning, mere minutes after party officials put the finishing touches on the seat filler scarecrows. By last week, so many Republicans had declined their invitations that all the plausible excuses had been used up, leaving only the bizarre, made-up bullshit.
I noticed that Sarah Palin wasn't on the list. Did she not ask for a speaking role?
No, she was asked. It's a little bit difficult because of where she is. We love Sarah. A little bit difficult because of, she's got a It's a long ways away.
Yeah. You do know about airplanes, right? You know they can be used for other things besides dressing up awful television events or slaughtering wolves from the sky. How messed up must the Republican convention be if Sarah Palin won't attend? This is a woman whose family gatherings make Dothraki weddings look tame. Plus, she actually likes Trump. He's like her brother from another unwed mother. What happened?
You know, he won the Second World War, in all fairness. It's pretty good. It's more than the Bushes, but I mean by a lot. I don't mean by little. But that's with 17 people. People don't oversay that. That means our message is unbelievable.
Oh, I see. She's mad because Trump stole her word salad spinner. But hey, at least megastar Scott Baio will be there, making this the second time he's watched helplessly as someone jumps the shark. With the white power movement's orange ally headlining the convention, a lot of big donors are also sitting this one out.
Many have publicly pulled support due to comments presumptive nominee Donald Trump has made about Mexicans, immigrants, and Muslims. The Cleveland 2016 host committee sent a letter to casino mogul Sheldon Adelson asking for $6 million to get them on track.
Okay, although maybe they shouldn't have let Trump send Adelson a follow-up request via Twitter. If the $6 million Jew turns them down, I'm sure they can swing a 3-figure deal with Ask Jeeves or sauna pants, the sauna that you wear around your junk.
The sauna pants work just like a sauna, creating a moist heat, sweating out unwanted excess water around your midsection and thighs, right where you need it the most.
You see, that's the problem with pants. They're not hot enough. Sauna pants, when you can't afford a vasectomy. Now, of course, before a convention can start, the party has to decide what they believe, which they apparently do by locking a bunch of cranky church elders in a room, turning off the air conditioning, and asking them who should go to hell.
The GOP platform went ultra-conservative on family values, same-sex marriage, and gender-neutral bathrooms.
It's not so much a platform as it is the Republican Party's suicide note. If you don't want to read it, and believe me, you don't, here's the Cliff's Notes version. You'll pass the quiz. Meanwhile, an attempted coup by the Never Trump Brigade failed worse than turkeys.
Scarcely more than an hour into their opening session this morning, the RNC claimed that a malfunctioning printer required a recess.
Obviously, we did not stand adjourned for 3 hours because of a jammed copier.
Yeah, that hasn't happened since the 1996 convention, and we don't like to talk about it. So, okay, to recap, Alaska is a small moon orbiting Saturn. Your printer broke, and the party is super happy about its nominee. Remind me, what is it that you don't like about Hillary?
Hillary Clinton is a liar.
Yeah, she's told some lies, but none as big as this one.
Governor Mike Pence was my first choice.
Oh, bullshit. Truth is, after failing to convince his children to let him pick the concept of tits as his running mate, Trump spent an agonizing week trying to decide between the Republican Littlefinger and, I guess, Roger Sterling during an allergy attack. Also, he thought it was funny to let Chris Christie think he still had a shot. Oh, Chris, honey, he's not really your friend if he makes you feel that way. Finally, after days of leaks, tweets, feints, dithering, dickering, and generally impressing everyone with his presidential decisiveness, Trumplet emerged from Elsinore to introduce us to his chosen running mate.
I've been a very, very, very successful business person. I won in landslides. I had so many great leaders so many times up to my office. They agreed I'd win New York, I'd win Pennsylvania, I'd win all these places. Boy, am I going to win big with the veterans. I'm a messenger. I'm doing a good job. Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump.
Okay, so let me just fast forward about a half hour. There.
Hillary Clinton, crooked Hillary. Hillary Clinton, Obama Clinton, crooked Hillary Clinton, and Mike Pence.
There it is, Mike Pence! Oh, look at those two BFFs. They're practically spooning. So who is Mike Pence? Asked 86% of the country. Mike Pence was loaned out from Republican Central Casting to play the governor of Indiana. A state known primarily for its stupid number of time zones. It's 10:30 in Indianapolis, 9:30 in Gary, and 1952 everywhere, thanks to Pence. If you're a lady Hoosier, you may recognize him as the governor who inspected your reproductive organs every 30 days to make sure you weren't using them in ways that would make Jesus sad. He's basically the reason Brooklyn is full of Midwesterners. Among his greatest hits, Pence signed a law requiring funerals for fetuses after an abortion or miscarriage. The law was blocked by a federal judge, but not before Pence had closed down every abortion clinic not equipped with a full complement of funeral bagpipers. You know, for the woman's safety. In Pence's state, having a miscarriage could land you in jail for 20 years. So if you're driving through Indiana and the contractions start, cross your legs and don't stop till you're in Chicago. Throw in the hit taxpayers took from Pence's anti-LGBT crusade, plus a general reputation for incompetence, and the governor isn't exactly beloved in his own state, as he learned earlier this year when he threw out the first pitch at an Indiana baseball game. Oh boy, okay. Indiana voters hate Pence as much as Indiana Jones hates snakes. And so, Full Frontal would just like to say, congratulations, Indiana! You just got rid of one of the worst governors you've ever had. I can only imagine how you felt when you heard the news.
Paperwork was just filed to officially remove Pence from the governor's race.
Night since our all-white basketball team got that 1 point. And I'm so sorry, New Jersey. You were this close. Not really. The best thing about going to conventions is watching Wolf Blitzer stuff 10 jalapeno poppers into his beard at the CNN Grill. The second best thing is talking with delegates. Unfortunately, none of them would speak to me, possibly because my giant face was plastered on a bus right next to the convention entrance. Didn't really think that one through. But they did talk to the Sam Squad, Alana Harkin, Ashley Black, and Mike Rubens, about what freedom means to them.
We cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore.
With those words from Donald Trump, the Republican convention goers erupted into a massive aggrievement boner cheer, a vocal distillation of the theme uniting so many Trump supporters.
I think political correctness has damaged our country so badly.
Oh, I'm absolutely not for political correctness. I think that is tearing down the U.S.
It's a prison of the mind. It's a prison of the soul.
Donald Trump is freeing people from that prison and the cruel shackles of empathy and mutual respect.
He's not politically correct, and he talks like I want to talk.
Do you think it's almost like he gives permission to people to not be a grown-up?
Absolutely. He says the things that we've been thinking for years that nobody had the guts to say.
It's like he just opens up the door and lets the beast out.
He does. But you know what? There's so many of us that have wanted to let the beast out. And because of political correctness, we have not been able to do that. That is one of the #1 reasons why I am so much behind him right now.
Because he frees the beast.
Yes.
And once the beast is out, what will this PC-free utopia be like? Other than the days when we had fun movie characters.
You disturb me! You must advocate me!
Several people told us to look further back in history.
What president reminds you the most of Donald Trump?
Andrew Jackson.
This country has not seen a president since Andrew Jackson that is this out there.
It's kind of exciting to have a president that would be like Andrew Jackson.
It is.
Andrew Jackson killed like a lot of Indians, right?
I don't know.
Several thousand. And there's the whole slavery thing and a terrible recession, so we have that to look forward to. Anywho, this woman says she's had it with all this PC protesting.
I saw a protester with a sign, no more misogyny, or don't be a misogynist, and at least if you're going to protest, make it so that people can understand what you're protesting.
Absolutely. I have no idea what misogyny means.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a word that Trump is familiar with?
Oh, I would imagine so. He's very educated. I'm quite sure he knows what it is. I don't have a doubt about that.
I agree. I think he's really familiar with it.
Yes, I'm sure he is.
Who do you think is responsible for political correctness becoming so rampant in America?
I don't know who's to blame. I know, it started out on college campuses quite a bit with the intellectual elite. I think the media's involved in it.
You just named me twice.
But even some non-elite, non-media types here admit Donald Trump sometimes does go too far.
I think that there are times when he said some things that make people cringe. But I also think...
Like what?
I was at the rally in Manchester when someone in the crowd used a word to describe a lady part, and he echoed it. I think that was very brash.
Are you talking about the C word?
No.
Oh.
It was the P word.
Oh, pussy.
Okay.
But for all the talk of wanting a politically incorrect president, in practice they understood the value of civility.
Are there things that you wish you could say that you're not saying?
No, because I think on most things you can say them politely.
But there will be no more P-wordification after Donald Trump becomes president. Or possibly Kaiser.
He's going to build a wall. He's going to fix our economy. He's going to get rid of all the nonsense corruption, this nanny state where everyone's crying like babies over every little insult. Not under Donald Trump's regime.
And what else will that regime be like?
Donald Trump is going to be daddy. And whether you like it or not, you're going to have to listen to daddy, and if you don't, you get the belt.
I like all that.
It's an inspiring notion. When our new daddy moves in, we'll listen or get whipped with a belt. And yet, we'll also be able to say whatever we want, within reason.
Obviously, you can't say everything that you're thinking.
No.
So.
Yeah, I struggle with that a lot.
I just stopped in New York between the conventions to tape our show and pick up some unsoiled pants after a week of inspirational calls for trial by mob, capped off by a reasonable hour and 15-minute speech about imposing martial law. Let's do this. After a long and bitter primary, Republican delegates gathered in Cleveland's Wrong Side of History arena. Some of them as enthusiastic as a dog going for a car ride, others as enthusiastic as a dog going for its final car ride.
Let the other party go on and on with its constant dividing up of people.
Have you read your own platform, Sparky? It literally calls for a wall dividing up of people. Plus, it takes a lot of balls to call your opponents divisive when your party is tearing itself in half because you nominated a sociopathic 70-year-old toddler. Oh, no, my graphics department shouldn't be dismembering elephants. That's Donald Trump Jr.'s job. The rest of the family's job was to humanize the bigoted billionaire. No, I'm sorry, that insult is unfair and unproven. I meant, of course, the bigoted alleged billionaire. My bad. Trump's children spoke on successive nights, a moving gesture by a father who clearly loves ranking his offspring in order of importance.
A few years ago, someone very dear to me passed away, and the first call I got, as I knew I would, came from my father.
That's so nice. I'm sure they'll get along great when they finally meet in person. Despite their political differences with the Democratic nominee, members of Team Trump remained civil toward Secretary Clinton.
You said she should be put in front of a firing squad. Do you regret that?
Not at all. I spoke as a veteran.
Oh, in that case, it's fine. See, as a veteran, he risked his life to defend our right to call for the deaths of our fellow Americans whose lives he's willing to die to protect. Thanks for your service. And of course, there was the rosy nostalgia for the past, delivered by a freshly hatched Terminator from the future.
I'm old enough to remember when terrorism was something that happened in foreign countries.
You're not talking about Ireland, are you? You're talking about the brown countries, the ones that don't count. Look, if there was a theme to the convention other than perhaps the theme from Deliverance, it could best be summed up as... Ah!
death, destruction, terrorism, and weakness.
A catastrophic attack. Terrorists who are killing us. They are determined to kill us.
War and destruction.
Every American should be terrified.
An attack on all Americans.
Extremist attack.
Homicide,
Murders, guns and bombs.
chaos.
Stabbings. Terrorism.
Morning in America. It's the middle of the night in America, and someone's kicking in your door. Oh, and also, Hillary took your guns away.
We've lost the confidence in our leaders and the faith in our institutions.
The Democrats have not led us to a crossroads. They have led us to a cliff.
There's no next election. This is it.
No next election? You know what? That means nobody's gonna wake Rudy Giuliani from his crypt in 4 years to spit incoherently about 9/11 on TV. You know what? I guess every mushroom cloud does have a silver lining. Look, we get it. Right now, the world is as scary and dangerous as Hillary Clinton is scary and dangerous and kind of a bitch. After the endless parade of fear fluffers did their job, America presented its upturned face to receive Big Donald's law and order load right in the eye.
I will be your champion. The crime and violence that today afflicts our nation will soon, and I mean very soon, come to an end. Beginning on January 20th of 2017, safety will be restored.
Oh my God, is Donald Trump running for Batman? Actually, violent crime is the lowest it's been in decades. So where is Trump getting this fear-mongery shit?
It is time for an honest look at the problem of order in the United States. We shall have order in the United States.
And here I thought the only thing Trump and Nixon had in common were their loyal pets. Now I'm pissed that people are picking on Melania. At least she plagiarized someone good. It takes a special kind of guy to look at how far our nation has come and say, you know what we need to get back to? 1968. That was a great year in American politics. Nixon was stoking fear of domestic unrest in white middle-class voters when Trump was still young enough to be one of his wives.
As we look at America, we see cities enveloped in smoke and flame. We hear sirens in the night. We see Americans hating each other, fighting each other, killing each other at home. Millions of Americans cry out in anguish.
Now come on, everybody, and let's do the tighten up. Like Trump, Nixon, the candidate, courted old white middle Americans made anxious by civil unrest, a group Nixon would later come up with a snazzy nickname for.
So tonight, to you, the great silent majority of my fellow Americans, I ask for your support.
Trump rebranded Nixon's silent majority speech, and just like the buildings he rebrands, he made it way uglier.
There's a silent majority out there. We're tired of being pushed around, kicked around, and acting and being led by stupid people.
Oh, Donald, I can think of a lot of things to call your supporters, but silent isn't one of them.
Trump! I love Trump! Fuck you!
He makes some good points. Don't worry, though, guys. President Trump will not be exactly like President Nixon. Nixon got 15% of the black vote. But here's something you missed if you weren't sitting in the audience for Trump's entire wannabe Nuremberg speech like I was. An arena full of bored people checking their phones and talking to each other. Now, as you know, I've been to every convention since 1968, and I swear the crowds were more excited for McCain in 08, and even for, what's his name, the guy your company brings in to fire you, Johnny Placebo. So sorry, Donald, I know you were going for triumph of the will. Sadly, all you managed was triumph of the, well, but hey, buck up. You've never let utter failure stop you before. One person refreshingly free from the PC virus threatening to infect our country with civility is 7-term Iowa Congressman Steve King, who displayed his immunity 3 years ago when he shared his thoughts about Mexicans and fruit.
For everyone who's a valedictorian, there's another 100 out there that they weigh 130 pounds and they've got calves the size of cantaloupes because they're hauling 75 pounds of marijuana across the desert.
Just a reminder that Donald Trump didn't bring the racist potato salad to the GOP's church picnic. I mean, he did, but they were like, oh man, we already have so much potato salad. Have you tried Steve's? It's extra bland.
This whole white people business, though, does get a little tired, Charlie. I mean, I'd ask you to go back through history and figure out where are these contributions that have been made by these other categories of people that you're talking about? Where did any other subgroup of people contribute more to civilization than white people?
Again, that man has been elected 7 times and counting. That is white people's contribution to civilization. Way to go, we rule! The Republican Party has gotten to a place so surreal that the Washington Post actually felt the need to publish the words, "For the record, there have been a great number of non-white contributions to human civilization." That shouldn't have to be written in a newspaper, if for no other reason than that writing was invented in Iraq. But according to Republican delegates, the racial divisiveness isn't coming from people like Donald Trump or Steve King, or the people who cheered the acquittal of the officer involved in Freddie Gray's death.
There is some good news out of Baltimore, Maryland, as Lieutenant Brian Rice was acquitted on all charges.
Feel the healing. See, everything would be fine were it not for one activist group hell-bent on dividing us. The Sam Squad has more.
You know, this Black Lives Matter movement, I just don't think it's helpful to the country.
I believe that any group that distinguishes people by their race is by definition a racist group.
We need to stop labeling everybody Black lives, cop lives.
How many times have you been pulled over by a cop?
I feel like they use Black Lives Matter almost as a chant to taunt.
Is there any way for Black people to say they matter, they're awesome, they love themselves, that wouldn't upset white people?
You know, I don't think that white people go around and say that I love white people. I mean, it's okay to be proud of your heritage. I mean,
if you want to say that right now, I would be in support of that. If you wanted to yell, I love white people, this is the place.
But there was one thing they were willing to yell.
Can you say Black Lives Matter?
All lives matter.
All lives matter.
All lives matter.
Could you say just Black Lives Matter, end of sentence?
All lives matter.
Oh, so close.
All lives matter.
Yeah.
The people in Nice, France.
Absolutely.
Their lives matter. I mean, all lives matter.
And Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely, all lives matter.
Do Black Lives matter?
All lives matter.
I totally knew that.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest thing. Just pick a number between 1 and 10. 7.
There's just one problem with putting white people in charge of the conversation about race.
What do you think Black Lives Matter wants? What are they asking for?
I wouldn't have a clue.
It seems most white people know fuck all about the movement they're so upset about.
Do you think Black Lives Matter wants to not have law enforcement?
I don't know what their purpose is.
I don't know what they're saying. I just know there's a lot of anger there.
They need to make sure they're upfront and outright discrediting and condemn the violence.
So they've done that. What's next?
You know, I think they got to change the name.
Well, I don't think they're saying only Black Lives Matter.
I do. I 100%.
Because Black Lives Matter is an evil organization.
Bordering on domestic terrorism, in my view.
It has no more place in our body politic than the KKK or the skinheads.
I was a prosecutor who brought cases before a grand jury for police action shootings.
Okay, so he knows police sometimes shoot the wrong guy.
Your chances of being shot by the police are non-existent if you respect authority, if you don't pull a gun on them, if you don't run away from them, if you cooperate with the law enforcement, put your hands on the steering wheel, play along with what they ask you to do.
Non-existent?
Absolutely.
As long as I got my hands up, they're not going to shoot me. This is what I'm thinking. They're not going to shoot me. Wow, was I wrong?
To be fair, that Florida cop was aiming for the unarmed autistic man, not the unarmed black man.
Probably not going to change my mind on the opinion, on the topic, right?
So learning more information wouldn't change your mind?
No, not on this topic, no.
So there's nothing Black Lives Matter could do to make you want to know more about them?
No.
But the good news is, aside from this state Senate candidate with cotton in his ears, most people we talked to did want to understand. At least when faced with an actual black person, forcing them to think critically about what they were about to say.
Do you think it's possible that sometimes black people get more scrutiny from police than other people?
Absolutely. It's certainly possible.
I support the police 100%, but when people have real grievances, I also support that, getting to the root of the matter.
As a white person, I always feel like no matter what I say, it's going to be offensive. And I don't want to be that way. I want to be able to reach out to you, because again, I'm in this little white skin, and so I've never had to totally relate to that. I want to.
I don't know whether to say African American or black, and I get nervous because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Anyway, that's just one example, of learning how to communicate better.
You want a trick?
Yes.
You could ask the person.
There you go. Thank you.
What would you prefer to be called?
What would you prefer to be called?
I prefer to be called black. Would you say Black Lives Matter?
Yes, of course Black Lives Matter, but not in the sense of I'm a supporter of that movement. I don't know enough about it.
So you would say Black Lives Matter pending research.
Yeah.
Bad news, Donald Trump. White conservatives are creeping ever closer to getting woke for something other than brunch. On Thursday, the nation went through its usual daily ritual, briefly unfurling from the fetal position just long enough to turn on the news and see what our national embarrassment has done to disgrace us. So how did that go?
Good evening. The President of the United States is tired of so many black people coming to this country, tired of immigrants from Haiti and Africa being allowed in. Quote, why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here? The president said today at the White House.
Wow, that is news. The president was actually at the White House for once? Probably because Mar-a-Lago is overrun with his Haitian employees. Of course, Republicans sprang into action with the best defense of Trump they could think of, half-assed denials.
My understanding on the basis of a very good source, he didn't say S-hole, he said S-house.
Oh, very clever. The old, I didn't call your mother a slut, I called her a whore defense. Other Trump toadies offered a different but equally persuasive excuse.
Some White House officials were telling reporters dismissing this as kitchen table talk.
Sure. Kitchen table talk. I mean, who doesn't love talking about shitholes over their beef stew, beans, and chocolate ice cream? Thankfully, a few Republicans were bold enough to stand up to Trump.
Fellow South Carolina Senator Tim Scott said Graham told him reports of the comments were basically accurate.
I can't defend the indefensible.
Were the comments racist, do you think?
I think they were, yes.
That's so strange. These two Republicans criticized Trump while these two denied he even made the remark. If only there were some sort of pattern that might explain the difference. I guess we'll never know. Trump's shithole talk has prompted the media to once again ask the question that has mystified them for years.
Is Donald Trump racist?
Is he a racist?
Do you think this president is racist?
Do you think he himself is racist?
You think he's a racist?
You believe he's a racist?
Is President Trump a racist?
It's like Maya Angelou once said, when someone tells you who they are, ignore it. Elect them president and then spend 24 hours a day asking each other if you believe what they told you about themselves. Is Trump racist? Appears to be the great unsolved mystery of our time. It's today's Watergate. If Nixon had repeatedly stuck his head out the window and screamed, "I did Watergate." To settle the matter once and for all, I asked my intrepid staff to use their crack investigative skills to blow the lid off the question plaguing journalists and politicians across the nation.
Tonight, Full Frontal investigates, is this racist racist? A 45-part series.
After exhaustive research, we have unearthed trace evidence that our president is racist. Exhibit A, everything Trump has said since he took office.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus?
Are they friends of yours?
I'm just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
He said that all Haitians have AIDS, and he talked about everybody from Nigeria basically living in huts.
A member related to President Trump that potential welfare cuts would harm her constituents, not all of whom are black. The president replied, "Really? Then what are they?"
Trump has done so many racist things, it's impossible to remember them all. You could tell me he put an assortment of anti-Semitic breakfast cereals on the Mar-a-Lago menu, and I'd have to pause for a second to think about whether or not that actually happened. Gestapo's the final solution to your hunger. But this racist white rabbit hole goes deeper, my friends. Utilizing our exclusive source, codename National Television, we obtained widely seen footage of Trump acting outrageously racist before the election.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. Countless Americans are killed by illegal immigrants. We have to look at the Muslims.
We have to look at the mosques.
Look at my African American. You take a look at the inner cities, you get shot walking down the street.
He's a Mexican. We're building a wall between here and Mexico.
We're going to get them the hell out of our country.
And I don't mind
They shouldn't be here in the first place.
Still so ambiguous. But you guys aren't gonna believe it. This thing goes all the way to the bottom. We kept digging and discovered video of Trump when he was just a super racist private citizen disparaging minorities that has never before been seen, except by everyone because it was totally public and always has been. I don't wanna jump to conclusions, but we might be onto something that we've been saying since day one.
If you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, they don't look like Indians to me.
He took out a full-page ad after the Central Park jogger case.
If the woman died, I think they should be executed. I think you should have the death penalty.
The Department of Justice took notice in 1973. Trump management was charged with discriminating against African Americans.
Jesus, how racist do you have to be for the Nixon administration to say, whoa, dial it back? So there we have it, friends. Trump wasn't just an innocent birther. He's a racist. This is breaking news, I guess, because I've said it so many times, I'm broken. Please, give me a Pulitzer. Make sure Meryl plays me in the movie, and don't use the euphemism racially charged ever again. Stop acting shocked about it and start grappling with what it means. Donald Trump hates black and brown people, and he's in charge of a lot of their lives. When he called Haiti and Honduras shithole countries, he killed an immigration bill intended to avoid government shutdown. The bipartisan bill he rejected in that meeting provides protections for dreamers. It funds border security, which Trump claims to want. It ends the diversity lottery, but uses those spots for people from the most vulnerable countries, such as Haiti and Honduras. It's a compromise, but it would have helped a lot of people. And Trump killed it. Not because he thinks he has a better plan or even because he wants more money for his stupid fucking wall. He rejected it because he wanted it to include fewer non-white shithole people. He said so. Hundreds of thousands of families will be torn apart because the president thinks they're shitholes. So yeah, whatever. Trump is racist. Let's try to hold that in our heads for good this time. I think we might actually manage it.
This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. The President of the United States is racist.
Don Lemon scooped my story! If you liked this video, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments below. And if you didn't like this video, I'm sure you've already left a comment. Thank you so much.